Hello everyone and welcome back to some Hearthstone, and today is going to be a little different because we're going to be going into the best cards to use when you're just starting out this game. So this is probably not going to be too incredibly useful for those of you who have been playing the game and have opened, say, 10 to 15 packs already. You probably got cards that you're gonna see today. These cards you're gonna probably have already replaced all of these cards with better cards. Alright, so now that we're in the collection area, we can now go to the neutral creeps, because I'm not really going to be talking about these. Right now you can see I have a ton of custom decks, and they pretty much, all the cards that I'm going to talk about today are in these decks. These are all decks that I've used on this server. I can't remember which server this is. It's either Europe or it's Asia, because all of my personal cards or all of my experience in Hearthstone has been on the North American servers. But we're gonna go to the first one, and this is bar none one of the best cards, to be honest with you. On this account, I have opened up a few packs, so you're gonna see some cards that aren't. Actually, if I just go in here and I can do soulbound cards? No, I can't only do soulbound cards. So you're gonna see some cards in here that I've already gotten from packs, like the Abusive Sergeant, stuff like that. You probably actually, is this? Never mind. This is a soulbound card. I'm actually pretty retarded. But the Fairy Dragon is definitely not a soulbound card. You do not get this card right away. So the first one, and we're not even going to go into the one drops because there really isn't a one drop that's incredibly good. I actually don't even need one drops in any of these decks. Most of the one drops in these decks come from the class cards. So the first one is the River Crocolisk. This card is amazing. And it's amazing because it's a 2 mana, 2/3. There really isn't anything amazing about it. But when you don't have any other cards, this card pretty much trades 2 for 1 in every situation if you can bring this guy out at turn 2. Heck, if you've got 2 mana cards, I don't know what that, it's gonna blow right past you, but 2 mana cards on the field, or in your hand, you can just coin this guy out, and he's gonna trade magnificently, because the reason why this is so good is it's 2 mana, it's a 2/3, we're gonna go look at the rest of the 2 mana cards, and we're gonna see if there's anything that can actually kill this thing right away. There's really only a handful of cards, and I think there's only 3 cards out of all of the 2 drops. The first one is the Acidic Swamp Ooze, and for the most part, people don't want to play this because it has an ability, and usually most players are going to want to save that ability for when it's useful rather than playing this on turn 2. The other card is the Bloodfen Raptor, and this is an okay card to have. However, you're not going to see it that often, which is why the River Crocolisk is so good. Most people, you're probably going to see Novice Engineers, you're going to see Murloc Tidehunters, and the best part about this is that it trades really well with these, right? It'll kill these off, and it'll still be alive. For most of the 2 drops that you'll see, the Frostwolf Grunt. As you can see, it's a 2/2/2 with Taunt. So the River Croc is going to kill this and still have 1 health remaining, allowing it to then do more damage to another creature, which is pretty cool. So that's the reason why the River Crocolisk is a card that I put into every basic deck. The Bloodsail Raider is a good one. I would stick this in with the Warrior just because you have the 2 mana weapon, the Fiery War Axe, and coupled playing this on turn 1 if you have the coin, and then playing this on turn 2 gives you a +3, so it becomes a 5/3 pirate. So that's pretty sick. That would obviously be better, but of course it requires you to use this battle cry, whereas every other hero isn't really going to be able to use this apart from maybe the rogue, and you'll get like +1, which is still pretty good at turn 2. Alright, and the next card, we're going to just go right into the 3 mana cards. And the third card is the Shattered Sun Cleric. This is a card every newer player especially people who have never opened any packs before, you need to put this in your deck. Because this is a great combo card. Because for one, it does a fair good of damage, right? It does a fair good of damage? It does a fair bit of damage. It does 3 damage and it only has 2 health. So for the most part, this card, you automatically assume that this card is probably going to trade 1 for 1 with another card, if you can get it out pretty early. What it works well with is comboing with other cards. Especially, and you guessed it, the River Crocolisk. If you can throw out the River Crocolisk at turn 2, and then your opponent, let's pretend that you went first, and so you got to turn 2 first, and you brought out your River Crocolisk. Your opponent, what is he gonna do? He's gonna have these cards to choose from. Okay, all these 2 mana cards he's gonna choose from, or he can throw out some 1 mana cards, that's okay too, it doesn't really help him. But he's gonna have all these 2 mana cards to choose from. However, if you can summon the Shattered Sun Cleric and upgrade your River Crocolisk to a 3/4, now it absolutely trades 2 for 1. It will have 4 health, so pretty much nothing here. Nothing in the 2-drops does 4 damage, okay? There's no 2-drop that does 4 damage in terms of basic cards. And it's gonna do 3 damage, which is the most health that all of the 2-drops have, right? It's got 3 health, we got 3 health here, we got, oh, we're back at the 1s, so look at that, only 2, highest is 3, possibly having only 1 health. So this River Croc is going to most definitely trade very well, because it's going to kill something off and still be on the field to be able to possibly take another thing out, take something else out. And in doing so, you end up trading this 1 card for 2. Alright, so that is why the Shattered Sun Cleric is so good, and at the same time, the Shattered Sun Cleric can also trade on par most of the time. The next card I have for you is the Chillwind Yeti, and this card is infamous for being known as the best value card. I think a lot of streamers call it the best value card, but you get it right away. So every player, I don't care who you are, if you're starting off Hearthstone, get this in your deck. It's great. It works very similarly to the River Crocolisk, right? And actually a lot of these cards that I'm going to be showing you today are going to be very good in the same way, right? It's a 2 mana, it gives you 2 damage, so these are the same value, and it gives you 1 extra health point for that value. So the Chillwind Yeti is the same thing, right? 4, 4, and then 4 and 5. So let's look at the rest of the 4-drops. This thing does 4 damage. Alright, the Ancient Mage has 5 health, so that's an anomaly, but you're not going to see this guy very much. And also, again, this guy... I'm sorry, I can't believe I'm even going into the Ancient Mage, because this guy is from a pack, so you don't need to worry about him. So let's look at the rest of the 4-drops. None of the rest of the 4-drops have more than 4 health, right? 4 health, this guy's a pack. Ah, but the Sinjin Shieldmaster. What's more important here... So actually just scratch what I just said, because that's not what I want to go into. It's not about the damage, okay? The Chillwind Yeti, the value in these cards that have 1 extra health point is that they can survive an attack by anything in the 4-drop spectrum, right? That the basic cards will have. This is from a pack, so you don't need to worry about that, and it does 4 damage. It still can't kill a Chillwind Yeti in 1 hit. Drangling Mechanic, Dread Corsair can't do it. Nope, none of these can do it. This is from a pack, so don't worry about that. Yeah, none of the 4-drops can do 5 damage, which means that this is going to remain on the field at least till turn 5, unless he's already got 2 cards on the field from the 3-drops and the 2-drops and the 1-drops that can deal with this guy, okay? And I'm just going to go into the next 4-drop, because there's 2 4-drops that are really good that you get immediately, and that is everyone's favorite. I think it's the most... His name is Sinjin Shieldmaster, but everyone kind of knows him as Dustingo, because when you summon him, he says that pretty awesome dialogue, taunts you with it, because he is a taunt. And this guy is great because he's 4 mana, 3/5, so he's got a lot of health for a 4 mana card. And plus he's a taunt, so he protects. So if you can actually keep your 3-drops alive and your 2-drops alive, this guy becomes really powerful. Because there's not a lot of stuff, you know, there's no 4 mana card that can do 5 damage, right? Except for the Tallstrider. The Lost Tallstrider again. I'm biting my tongue a bit here because I opened a pack and I got this guy. But in the early stages of Hearthstone, this guy, the Sen'jin Shieldmaster, is going to protect you a lot of the times. And for the most part, he's going to stay alive until the next turn, or all of the minions that he's protecting are all going to stay alive, and he might end up dying that next turn. So he just pretty much stalls the game a little bit. And stalling the game is another very important concept that we're going to learn later on. And I think I've already done a video on longer games and being able to stall, to endure until you can get out your big giant creatures, which is what we're going to move into next. Alright, now for the 5 mana cards. This card right here is what you're going to go for, the Frostwolf Warlord. This is an insane card, and the only reason why I can think why it's not played in like really good decks is because there are just a lot of 5-drops that you can get from packs that are really good and kind of push this guy off to the side. But when you're starting off the game, this guy is actually incredible because you really only need 2 minions on the field when you summon this guy to make him worth it. He becomes a 5/6/6 because his battle cry allows him to gain 1/1 for each friendly minion on the battlefield. There is a possibility that you can actually just get an 8/8 straight up from this guy by having 4 guys on the field, which is possible, right? If you were to combo that with our Shieldmaster, protect everything we have on the field at turn 4, just so that we can play the Frostwolf Warlord on turn 5 and get possibly a 6/6 or a 7/7 for 5 mana. This guy can outright just win you the game. Like you throw this guy out and like if they've got no way of dealing with him, like you do like 6 to 8 damage to the guy's face, to your opponent's face. You can't really deal with it. This card is also a great way to bait out a lot of removals, polymorph, hexes, you know, those kind of cards that do just insane damage to one target. This is a great card to, you know, kind of bait those out so that the cards that I'm about to talk to you about, you know, they stay safe from it, because you got to remember every deck can only have 2 of each card. So once you bait out 2 fireballs or 2 polymorphs, you really don't have to worry about it anymore. The next card is a 6-drop. Our 6-drop is the Boulderfist Ogre. Works very similarly to the Chillwind Yeti and the River Crocolisk. Again, a 6 mana, 6 damage, and +1 to that 6 stat. We get 7 health. So again, we're gonna do this again, of course. We're gonna look at all the 6-drops that you can possibly get. You can't even get this, but it doesn't really matter because it only does 5 damage. Nothing in this group, in this 6-drop group, does 7 damage. Right? Nothing. Nothing does 7 damage. Out of all the 6s, they don't do 7 damage. So that means this guy's gonna be pretty safe. And there's really nothing in the 5s from the original basic decks. I know you see the Ventrico here, he does 7 damage. But that's because he has a pretty big deficiency there. So the Boulderfist Ogre works very similarly, again, to the Chillwind Yeti and the River Croc. And pretty much works the same way. He's just a big chunky unit, and again, another good unit, or another good creature or minion to bait out those pesky removals. And the last card that I'm going to go over is my personal favorite, the Stormwind Champion. And this guy, like the Frostwolf Warlord, will win you games, just outright. You'll throw this guy out. He works the best when you have guys on the field already. But if you've got all the rest of these cards that I've shown you on the field, or if you've got them all in your deck, there's a good chance that you're probably going to have a lot of creatures on the deck are on the field already, and the Stormwind Champion just makes them all that much better. It makes all your other minions have +1/+1. This can often be one of the cards that allows you to trade and take out your opponent's entire board while sacrificing maybe 1 or 2 of yours, completely dominating the board and allowing you to propel yourself to a victory. So there are a few cards that I would say are okay to put in your deck, but these would be the cards that you would take out, you know, if you once you start getting cards that you start opening packs and getting those really good cards that have really cool abilities and will help you more effectively than these specific cards. The first one is the Gurubashi Berserker. It's a 5 mana 2/7, and whenever it takes damage, it gains 3 attacks. So once you hit this thing once, honestly, if you can attack something with 1 damage, it becomes a 5/6, which is pretty good, right? And then as you do damage, this thing just keeps getting more powerful. It has the potential, and this is the reason why I'm bringing this card up, is because as a 5-drop, there is no 5-drop except for the Frostwolf Warlord, potentially, that can do 7 damage to the Gurubashi Berserker. There's nothing. Nothing can do 7 damage. So, that means there's a good chance that this guy is going to stick around to the next turn, and there's an even better chance that he's probably going to have more than 2 damage during that turn, or you get to decide who he attacks that next turn, because the opponent is just going to ignore him if they can't take him out. I don't think any opponent is going to attack this guy and allow him to stay alive. The next one on the list of cards that are okay, you can put them in, I don't see any reason why you can't, is the Razorfen Hunter. This is a really good basic card because it's a 3 mana 2/3. It doesn't look that great, right? But you get a 1/1 boar. Now, this card, the reason why it's okay is because against certain champions, or not champions, but hero classes, this right here is really bad. Like, if we talk about the mage. The mage's hero power is it just does 1 damage to a 1/1. Or it does 1 damage to anything. So, the mage will automatically just take this guy out. Or if you're against a rogue who has a weapon out already, he'll just take out the 1/1 boar pretty fast. However, one thing that's really cool about the Razorfen Hunter against mage is that if you can throw this guy out at turn 3, and the mage is forced to use their hero power on this boar, guess what happens then? The mage only has 2 mana left. So, that means the only thing they can play are these cards. This is all they get to play. They can only play these. So, that means the Razorfen Hunter almost becomes a Crocolisk, right? It becomes a 2/3. Even though you paid 3 mana for it, your opponent's next turn, where he gets 4 mana, or he might only have 3 mana to deal with, and in that sense, he'll have to use his hero power and then summon one of these disgusting cards. Your Razorfen Hunter is going to be able to dispatch anything that comes out in an efficient manner, or it's going to be able, you know, it's not going to die, right? This thing is going to survive again. And that might allow you to use your Shattered Sun Cleric on the Razorfen Hunter to trade well as well. So it's almost like getting another River Crocolisk, if your opponent is willing to use their hero power on this 1/1. And if they're not willing to use their hero power on that 1/1, then you've got a 1/1 boar, right? And you have more people on the field, or more minions on the field as well. The Razorfen Hunter works really well with the Frostwolf Warlord, because you're getting 2 guys on the field, allowing him to get 2/2. So that might also be something that you can play up to when you use the Razorfen Hunter. In the next video, for the part 2, we're going to be looking at a few games where I play on these servers with these very simple decks, and you're going to be able to see the application for some of the stuff that I was talking about here. So what basic cards do you recommend for newer players, and why are they good? Let me know in the comments below, and if you're new to Hearthstone and haven't used the cards mentioned here yet, start now.